And welcome to issue 610 of Geek in the City Radio. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
And I'm your other host, Kaebel Hashitani.
And we are... Damn it, that threw me off. That doesn't make any sense now.
Nothing is not consistent.
Nothing makes sense anymore. We are sans one Binarita today because she is still in Mexico.
Yes.
Yes. I'm also trying to do that thing where I'm like getting links so that I can tell people online. They're like, hey, we're live now.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I should really get more efficient at this.
I mean, to be honest, it should be one of those things where those posts are written early in the day and then scheduled so that they auto post an hour before the show each week.
Yeah, that's probably also on me.
No, not necessarily. Like any one of us can take that on. I think we're just also, scattered.
Yeah, no, dude, there are literally times at 6:25 on a Tuesday. I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Oh shit, show. So yes, that does happen. That's why I'm always amazed at people that kind of make their living doing this. I'm like, I don't know how you do it.
Those people have an off-air producer.
That's true.
This show has always been produced by people on the air, whether it's been you or it's been Bean or myself in a pinch.
Right. Yeah.
Sidebar. It really throws me off that both Kevin and Bex's avatar photos for Facebook are red.
I think they both have that red filter.
Yeah, great.
I think it's a Snapchat filter, Snapchat profile filter.
I've never done Snapchat.
I haven't either.
Same with TikTok. I'm like, no, I'm not a 20-something. I don't need to be on either of those things.
Here's where I sound really old, but didn't Snapchat start for people to send like nudes of themselves and it went away quickly? Wasn't like how it started that way?
I mean, yes.
I was like, wasn't it just for boobies and dongs?
I mean, it's still used for that, to be quite frank. But
I'm sure the internet is used for that.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that do sex work that will keep their most graphic content on Snapchat because it can't be recorded, it can't be screen saved. Because if it is, you're notified that you're.
Oh, I was gonna say I thought that was an issue, is that it could be screen capped by people.
Oh, it can, and then it notifies you, and then you can take legal action against that person. Because what they will do is they will have a closed Snapchat profile that they will then send lifetime access to, or sell lifetime access. So you pay $50, $100, $20, whatever they deem is appropriate for them, and then you can become Snapchat friends with them. Okay. At least that's how I understand it academically, because again, I've never had Snapchat. I haven't even downloaded it for the filters, and I know that's what a lot of people do.
Right. Now I take it back. I did have to use it back when I did stuff for Haunting Productions because the haunted house had a Snapchat.
Yep.
So I remember that, but
Fright Town also had a Snapchat.
Yeah, it makes sense for that.
I wasn't in charge of any of the social media for Fright Town, so
right.
I don't.
I was in charge of everything.
But you weren't also working as a haunt monster simultaneously.
No, and I was getting paid quite well, actually. I was very happy with our arrangement, our financial arrangement.
That's because people still love haunts. They just want to go somewhere and be scared to have this crap scared out of them.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to get, I know there's one haunt that's still hiring this year. But I've also heard of one that was like in pre-production and they're like, nah, fuck it. Like, even if we only have admitted vaccinated people to the haunt, the amount of money and time we're going to put in, we're not going to recoup that. The idea being, I'd rather not spend any money and not make any money this year than spend $30,000 and only bring in like 10, which makes total sense.
$30,000 conservatively.
Yeah, no, that's true for sure.
There's a reason that the Baron is selling Fright Town. So
yeah, wish I could afford some of those props just to decorate my house.
We talked about that at home, and it was like, if there was something that you wanted as a memento, and I'm like, I appreciate that, but there's nothing practical that I want from the haunt. Like if I wanted something from the museum, it would be something like the werepug.
Right.
Or the spider clown. Like, these are things that you don't fit into a studio apartment. You need a house.
No. I would love his Vlad Chocula painting.
Well, that would be a good one.
He's not getting rid of that one. That's a baby.
Have you checked?
No.
Ask him.
But I also couldn't give him a fair price.
Ask him anyway.
I love that thing so much.
Merrick asked him about the locust of Revelation, that insect piece that was in the shadow backs on the wall in the museum.
Yeah.
That's cool. That one, he said, he's like, that one's not for sale, but you tell me when you want one and I'll make you another.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, hi,
that's
cat.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
I still remember the first time when I did an interview with him, when I used to interview all like the local haunters, and he showed me the museum, and I was looking around and I'm like, I don't know why, but like these paintings are so unnerving. He got so giddy. He's like, you want to know the secret? I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, you make the eyes and the mouth 20% bigger. Your brain can't handle it. They know it looks right, but they also know something's wrong with it. And this wasn't the Baron. This was just Dave getting giddy about. He's like, that's the secret.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, he's not particularly precious about how to scare people. I think he wants more haunted houses because he likes going to them. He likes seeing what other solutions other people come up with for the same problem of how do you scare people?
Right.
I mean, and who's in it for the psychology, who's in it for the art, who's in it for just, yelling at people and being angry jerks. There are all kinds in the haunting industry.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Been in it enough. Hi, Manju. Manju's joining us today.
Yay! I will admit, I will be bummed that I likely will not have any kind of haunt experience this year also.
Yeah, I am too. I'm crossing my fingers to try and do a thing. My friend Shane and I are still going to try and hit Universal if they are going to, because they are open. And they are having it.
That would be fun.
I still want us to all go and do.
I'd love that.
Do that. And I still want to save up and spend a week in LA and hit every single one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know when that's going to happen.
Maybe next year on that one. Also, I didn't know Universal Studios had a Universal Monsters Cafe.
I'm not sure I knew that either.
I found out today and I'm like, what? I need to go there. I'm sure the food's like, okay, because it's theme park food, but who cares?
We ate, not last year. When was it? 2019, when Dave and Shane and I all went down. We mostly ate it. That was where we discovered there's something to be said for chain restaurants in a town where you don't know any of the local cuisine.
Right.
You can still walk into a Red Robin and a Denny's and know that you're going to get a mediocre burger.
Yeah.
That's not going to kill you.
Right. It's just like no matter where you go, you can get something at Starbucks and it's going to taste the same.
Yeah. Like there were so many hole in the wall taco stands. It's like, I really want to try any of these places, but if we pick the wrong one, then like I'm going to be spending what time I should be at a theme park on the toilet.
California's got a really rigid restaurant rating system, so probably been okay in that department.
It's also one of those, I want to hit that with a local who knows stuff. That's true of like any city I go to. It's like, no, I want to know where you go. I don't want to know where everyone else goes.
Yeah, totally. What's your late night taco cart?
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
Thing. Yeah.
But we ended up having one of our meals at Universal, and because we got there midday, so we were there doing the Universal Studio Tour, right. And then it flipped the haunt, and then we started hitting all the haunts, and it's like, okay, we've got like 6 haunts to go, and I'm hungry, so we all went and sat down, and it was probably an average of $3 more per item than it should have been, but it was good.
Yeah, I mean, once I said that, I realized like I haven't been to Universal Studios and actually ever, believe it or not. But like, Jen and I in Disney, the food in Disneyland is really good now. I think that's something around like all amusement parks now, like big ones. They all know they kind of had to step up their game on the food department too, because people were leaving to have better food. And then they would come back and they're like, no, let's just serve better food and keep them here.
Yeah.
So
it's like we've got the resources. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was a way that they looked at it originally and went, well, in order to cut costs and to increase profitability, let's just serve mediocre food. But if you have a captive audience, it doesn't make it better food.
No, yeah. So apart from talking about this, we've got it's like animation day on Geek in the City Radio.
It is. It was a heavy animation week last week.
Yeah, we're wrapping up the Bad Batch, and then the premiere of What If and Lower Decks,
season 2.
Yes, season 2. So, what do you want to jump into first? You want to do Bad Batch?
I actually wanted to ask a question.
Oh, okay.
Before we go further, did you hear any fun news out of Star Trek Las Vegas?
A few things.
Okay.
Robert Beltram has confirmed that he is also in Prodigy.
I did hear that.
But not as anything. He's not saying if he's a hologram or what he's playing.
So he hasn't even confirmed if he's Chakotay.
I think he's going to be Chakotay, yeah.
Okay.
There's the rumor going around is that Prodigy will finally make canon the relationship they wanted between Janeway and Chakotay, but that it got sidelined when Seven was brought on, and they kind of forced Seven and Chakotay together.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that's one of them. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot. Like there was.
I know that Garrett Wong said that he would happily join or guest star on Lower Decks as Harry Kim, Starfleet's oldest ensign.
Starfleet's oldest ensign. I mean, you got. Roll into the joke. I think that's genius. You know.
Like, I love that. That would be great. Beckett Mariner would go like, "Oh my God, you're my hero."
Yeah, he would be a legend.
You've been an ensign forever. You can do whatever you want. No one cares.
Yeah, and Lower Decks is a few years after Voyager, so yeah, you could definitely have fun with it.
Yeah, because it seems like it's still a good 15 to 20 years before Picard.
Yeah, because there's still the Romulan neutral zone, so the Romulus hasn't even had that nova yet that takes them out.
Yeah. I think all of the awful things that are coming for the Federation haven't occurred yet.
Yeah, I think they're like 10 years out still, kind of thing.
And then I like I saw that Noah Aversbach Katz got a photo op with Jeffrey Coombs,
I
which
saw
is really
that. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, my two favorite Andorians. And he's like, oh.
I think they confirmed that Seven and Ravi's relationship will play out better in season 2 of Picard.
Rafi?
Rafi. No, I said Ravi. Rafi. Yeah. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of news, and I think part of it is because it's not an official CBS Paramount convention anymore.
Right. That's next year, right?
Yeah, in Chicago. And it's going to move cities. I know some people are annoyed at that, but I'm not one of them.
I'm not.
I think always keep it in Vegas. It was so fucking expensive because in Vegas, I mean, sure, at every convention, you're kind of a captive audience. In Vegas, you're really a captive audience, especially if they keep holding it at the Rio, which is nowhere near the Strip. You're a $3 cab ride if you want to go somewhere outside of the Rio or the Golden Horseshoe across the street. But who the fuck wants to go there? And the Rio is awful. It's a horrible hotel.
Vegas has zero appeal to me.
That's fair.
It's never had any, like, I don't know why. Like, I saw it when I was probably, when I was like 8 or 9.
Hold on really quick. I have to call out Kevin. He said if he's on Prodigy, he could be the fire starter.
Yeah, I was ignoring that.
Banned. Hitting the ban button. Okay, go ahead, sir.
And I remember, like, it was a lot of lights and it was just crazy. And I remember seeing a kangaroo in a boxing match, and that's
I don't know if you can get away with that anymore.
No, well, it was the 70s.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I don't think anymore though. Oh, the last time you were there was the 70s. It's very different now.
It's the only time I've spent any time in Vegas. The other time that I've been there has been the airport, and it's like, well, that doesn't count.
No.
It's like I've been to many cities in their airports. It's like that doesn't mean I've been to the city. I've been to Chicago, but only in the airport. So
right. But yeah, I'm glad it's rotating because for some people, getting to Vegas is harder. I think they're doing what Star Wars Celebration does. They pick a different city every year. Which, okay, great.
It's a good model.
Yeah, it's fine. The only downside is Reed Pop runs it now.
Yeah.
I'm
not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, but on the flip side, it's not like Reed Pop's any more greedy than Creation.
No.
And at least Reed Pop's better organized.
This is very true.
You know, that's another thing that broke today. Reed Pop at New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
12 and over must prove they've been vaccinated or they don't get in.
I did see that. And that's
Under
good.
12 must have within like 48 hours of a test. And they're like masks at all times unless you're eating, like period. So that's cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Be interested to see if that follows suit for Rose City here in town.
Oh no, I hope so. I mean, I know they're not Reed Pop, but I would like sort of say I hope Reed Pop sets that trend. I think Dragon Con is backpedaling now too to say they're going to do that.
I know that Gen Con did.
Yeah.
So
Dragon Con wasn't, and I guess people canceled in droves. They're like, no, we've changed our mind.
I have fond memories of Dragon Con, but I would be lying if I didn't say that there were broken parts to that huge system.
Oh yeah, I still want to go to Dragon Con again, but it's a con I want to go to with like a handful of friends, and we just kind of travel in a pack. You know, for fun and for partial self-preservation, because it's still nerd Mardi Gras. It's still fucking nerd Burning Man. Like it is still ridiculous. You know,
I'm still at the point where I have less interest in conventions if I am not there with purpose.
Yeah, sure.
It's become hard to have fun at a convention. I think that's why I've gravitated so much to going to haunts at theme parks, because that I can actually have fun at, even though that there's a part of my brain that's still working because I'm still walking through every haunt going, oh, how'd they do that? Ooh, I know how they did that. Oh, that was really good. Ooh, right. Look at that.
That's cool.
But it still feels very like I'm not tied to working it. So
right. That's fair. I can see that.
Sorry to tangent. I just knew that Star Trek Las Vegas was over the weekend, and I'd feel remiss if we didn't even mention.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot. I mean,
there wasn't.
Yeah, not really.
There was the cosplayer that was behind the dressed up as the puppet.
Oh, yeah.
And had this plexiglass screen in front of him with the credits. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sorry I missed it. Plus, my 2019 trip, I had mixed feelings about. So, but I'm glad I finally went. You know,
you made an excellent Cybok.
Thank you. Cybok's fun to go as because you don't really have to be stuffy. Yeah.
So, which show do you want to talk about first?
Well, do you want to get? I don't mean to phrase it this way, but you want to tackle Bad Batch first because I feel like that has the most to cover.
I do too, because it's 3 episodes.
Yeah, and I always feel like we just kind of tackle the themes and stuff instead of doing full recap stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna start off the bat that this was not how I predicted or saw the reunion of Crosshair and the Bad Batch going.
Yeah.
It was a lot more nuanced.
Yeah, very, very much so. I had a gut feeling the entire season that it was going to be revealed that it wasn't the inhibitor chip on Crosshair.
That was a good call. I didn't have that call.
I just felt like it because he's just, yeah. But I like that it would have been too easy. It would have been simple and lazy storytelling to just be like, well, it's because Crosshair's evil. That's not it. Like, he believes it. He actually doesn't fully believe that the Empire is going to pull it off either. Like, when he offers it to the rest of the 99 of like, hey, the 5 of us can run this thing. We're the ones that are actually qualified to bring peace because we're the ones who did it in the first place. So his wasn't a face turn, wasn't a whole heel turn kind of thing. It was he's gonna live in the gray for a while, and it's interesting.
Yeah. I appreciate that it was very much a disagreement of philosophies between him and Hunter, and that the person who again makes the most change happen within these people is Omega.
The one who facilitated the change?
Yeah, because like every time they interact with her, they're the ones they walk away going, crap, I think the kid's right.
Right.
And that happened with Crosshair.
Yeah.
He tried to belittle it and he tried to pass it off. Even he's like, fuck, the kid's right. I don't want this kid to be right.
Well, and I kind of love the little acknowledgement of like, well, it's because she's older than you guys. She actually has more life. Well, I mean, that's arguable. She's been alive longer, but to say she has more life experience. She does in terms of empathetic connections because their life has been war. Hers is not, you know.
Nope.
So I really enjoyed that. I had a feeling the droid was going to survive because, you know, Star Wars can't kill the droid.
See, and that just got back into every lesson that the Bad Batch has taught Omega, whether directly or indirectly, she has learned and excelled at.
Yeah.
So
we don't leave someone behind.
We don't leave someone behind. There was no other action for her to take.
Right.
She's like, oh no, he saved the rest of us. I'm not leaving him behind because I know in her head she went, because he's just going to sit down there, and he's not dead. He's just depowered.
Right. He'll slowly rot away from salt water. But yeah, right.
But they're not a humanoid being, so they have a completely different lifespan.
Right. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, not to say that like the Empire was sidelined for these last three, because they weren't. They were always like this looming presence, which in this stage of the galaxy kind of makes sense. You know, they haven't brought down the full weight. They're setting their pieces on the board, as it were, so that they can just drop the hammer on the galaxy. But there's this general, and I even get the feeling there's a few times in those final three where even Crosshair is like, this isn't, because Crosshair, he wants peace, he wants order, but not through fear. He gets it from in a weird way, he gets it from a twisted version of, you respect each other to do your jobs. The Empire is going to rule through fear. And I get the vibe that that's what he doesn't agree with.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Crap, I had a thought. So ephemeral, my thoughts these days.
This is true. This happens.
Sure. There's oh man, I'm sorry. I can't.
All right.
I think I'm just too chill. I've been trying to remain chill, so like I'm too chilled out.
Chill is good.
Yeah, that's true. I think overall, I remember what it was. Like where it wasn't the chip that caused, like, I think the chip was still involved, because we remember that he still had his chip and they were still using his chip to heighten his programming. Right. But after that, you know, like all the other clones, their chips also triggered. So they followed the order and they killed off the Jedi. But like we're seeing with even Gregor and the other clones, where they're like, wait a minute, they're looking at the Empire too, going, this is not what we signed up for.
Yeah. Because in their heads are like, the Republic became the Empire, they're in charge, they had to reformat after the Clone Wars, we get that. But now they're like, but this isn't what we fought for. This Empire is acting a lot like separatists. You know, that kind of ruthless efficiency. So yeah, you see even clones are like, which is what I think will lead to eventually, is that the clones are just they're gonna just let them die off, or there's just gonna be a culling of them. Because clones are still in the old uniforms too.
They're in the old uniforms. Yep.
Yeah, the conscripted are stormtroopers.
And it's commandos that are training the TK units. What does TK stand for?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm glad they I'm sure like it has been retconned into something, but I think Lucas just decided TK. Oh, that's a good sounding letters to go with the numbers. So I don't know. I'm sure it means something.
Trooper or something.
As soon as you type in TK, doesn't really say it. The belief is it stands for Trooper Corps. Not by that.
Corps with the K, huh?
Yeah. It is very Germany.
Yep. I'm like, that's very Nazi.
Which,
wait, I forget.
Fair, right.
To be fair. Yeah, they are Nazis.
Yeah. That's why they dress so well. The Empire does have the snappy uniforms. Wonder if Hugo Boss designed those too. Oh, is that out loud?
Yep.
By the way, don't buy Hugo Boss clothing. He's a Nazi. Maybe
is Hugo Boss even still a brand? I'm sure it is.
I don't think it's as popular as it used to be. It was big in the 90s, I think. That was the boss era. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right. No, but like I know that there's Merrick.
Hi, Merrick.
Aaron says hi.
Like you ever just walking by going, he needs to get like roller skates and a long rope so you can just glide like a nun. Just
nuns glide.
The scary ones do.
Oh, okay. I do think that I kept seeing this commentary on the internet where they were saying that the Bad Batch put a better closer on the Clone Wars than the Clone Wars did by the sole episode of destroying the facility on Camino, because that was like, oh, well, okay then. I mean, no more clones.
And they give the impression that that's their only city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that kind of bare bones title, like the fall of Camino. Like it was just like, yeah, that's it. That's the Empire being like, and we're truly the last remnants of the old Republic have been swept away. I mean, there's still a Senate, but it's like our Senate. It's useless.
And largely for show.
Yeah.
Well, everything is run by rich autocrats.
Yeah.
It's almost like
that live in the core system.
Yep.
That's fun. Yay. I would like my real lightsaber at least then. And a speeder bike.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I honestly believe that of all the technology in Star Wars that I want more than anything is a speeder bike.
Yeah. I mean, they're death on steel. You know,
no more than a motorbike.
Yeah. And they make that cool sound. Yeah, that's awesome.
Can't imagine crossing a sand dune without one.
Man, he's so good.
And
you can take them off, moderately sized cliffs. They'll just repulse as soon as they get to the bottom. That'd be sweet.
Yep. I mean, you do run the risk of like going out too far and there's nothing for them to repulse on. And by the time that they have something to play off against, you're still going to get wrecked.
Yeah, they've hit terminal velocity and the repulsors can't push past that.
Not
that I read that in their West End games a long time ago and kept it in my head. That would be super nerdy.
Yes, that would be. But yeah, I would love a speeder bike.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
So yeah, back to the Bad Batch. So, yeah, it felt like it was funny. That finale wasn't big on the like pew pew and galaxy changing stuff, but it felt like an honest ending to the first season.
It really did.
Yeah.
And I think that was important. Like Matthew and I were talking about this yesterday, that the way that unit minus Echo and Omega function is they are the family of 4 kids, because you look at the way they behave. Like Hunter is clearly the oldest,
right? So
he's in charge even when he doesn't know what he's doing. All of them are going to look up to him, right. And it's like, and the reason that Crosshair is so pissed at him all the time is Crosshair is the second. So he's always going to criticize what Hunter does and always think he can do it better. Right. But when he's actually put in the position, he does some really shitty things.
Yeah.
Wrecker is clearly the baby of the family.
Absolutely.
Which is why he gets along so well with his older sister.
His older little sister. Yeah, right.
And then Tech is the third child. So he's not the baby. He's not the oldest, and he's not the second oldest. And he's not quite the middle. But like that third child is always the one that goes, fuck it, I do what I want. It's like, why? Because I don't have to live up to anyone else's expectations. I'm going to go
and
in this
also,
direction.
no one's keeping an eye on me. I'm not the baby, so I'm not doted on. I'm not the oldest, so I don't have all the responsibility. I just kind of slip by and do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hey, I did this. Did you ask? No, I did it. And it worked.
Yep. And that's exactly how it operates.
Yeah.
And then Echo is their weird stepbrother.
Right.
Who occasionally looks at them and goes, you people are crazy.
Yeah. A quick little side note, even though I don't really buy Star Wars Legos, I kind of want their assault cruiser because it comes with them.
I do too.
Except Echo, which is really annoying. Or not Echo. It doesn't come with Omega.
Right.
It comes with the Gonk. It comes with the Gonk droid, which is hilarious.
It does come with Gonk. I like how Omega has invested time and energy in Gonk, and Gonk is now their astromech.
Which is weird because they have no skill in that.
No. But that's what, like, she's terrifying. She really terrifies me.
When did he astrogate for him?
I think the episode before last.
No, that was Power.
Oh, he is a power droid.
Which is actually what they're supposed to be. I think it's the first time we've ever seen a fucking Gonk droid because they're walking batteries.
Right.
I remember watching me like, we finally saw one get used for why they're fucking built. Not to just go, gonk.
Gonk.
Gonk. Yeah.
Gonk.
No, they're giant walking batteries. So you don't have to carry the battery, you just call the battery to you.
I didn't realize that. That makes a lot of sense. I always wondered why they were called a power droid.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then I just started calling them Gonk because Gonk.
Yeah, I think their action figures say power droid, and eventually they just said like in parentheses Gonk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Brenda, I asked one of my friends one time, like, why do you think it's called a Gonk droid? And he said, that's the sound of them power cycling. I'm like, what? He's like, okay, you know when you have like a car or your boat, and sometimes you hear the battery go tick, 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 tick. I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's its power cycling when it has like a short and it's trying to power cycle. He said, so that's them shorting out. They're going gonk, 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 and they're power cycling through. I was like, A, that's cool. B, that's the nerdiest thing you have ever said.
That is pretty nerdy.
Yeah, it's super nerdy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what the future brings for the Bad Batch. Like, I like how ambiguous, like, the season wrapped up really well, like you were saying, but
right.
God, Beck's changed her avatar now. Now it's throwing me off.
Can't please anyone,
especially not me. But yeah, like I like that there's still this unspoken, or not unspoken, but this standing argument that's going to continue to develop between Crosshair and Hunter, and I really think that Omega is going to continue to be the agent of change for all of them. Right. So
yeah, it was definitely fun. A good way to go for it, for sure.
Indeed.
And then speaking of fun, what do we do next? You want to do what if?
Let's do what if.
All right. Let's see. Let's take like a 5-minute break.
Okay.
Or just a few minute break. I have to go check on the thing, and if anyone knows about what's happening in my old town, I have to go check on the thing.
Go do a thing.
All right. You can keep talking, or we can just hit mute and tell people we'll be back in 5 minutes.
I don't know that I have anything to say. People can just stare at me.
Okay. Well,
I might interact with them on the chat. We'll see. You muted yourself.
Oh, I'm back. Oh, that's fast. Cable's back now too.
Hello.
Yeah, everything's fine. Just someone in my family member needs to be better at text etiquette and not to just text, call me, when it's not worth a call me text. That is all.
Do they text call me because they are bad at texting?
No, it's almost always for something completely ridiculous and not at all related to the shit happening in my hometown.
That sounds
It's just
annoying.
what they do. It's just what they do. Well, at least they stopped doing it at 2 a.m.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And it was always, this was many years ago when they were a bit more wild and were at parties. Like, what's the matter? And they'd be like, nothing. Who was that guy in that one movie with the third Batman? I'm like, Chris O'Donnell. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Oh, right. When your family's personal IMDb. Yeah, I got it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
I don't know what that's like at all.
no, I'm sure not at all.
Nope.
What if, right?
What if?
I am the Watcher. I am Owatu.
I think I knew that Jeffrey Wright was the Watcher, but then forgot before the episode aired.
Same. I was listening to it and I was like, is that fucking Jeffrey Wright?
Yeah. It
Also,
is.
that dude, he's the Watcher and Commissioner Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
It's a lot of watching.
It's sweet. And I think in another version of Batman audio, I think he's actually Batman in one of the audio dramas they've been doing, or he's going to be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good for like Jeffrey Wright. Yep. I enjoy him. He's been great in Westworld.
I like him in the Bond movies as the new version of Felix, the CIA agent. Yeah.
Felix Leiter.
Felix Leiter.
I keep forgetting that. But yeah, he is.
Mm-hmm. So, what if this one's with what if Agent Carter got the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers?
And the pivotal moment was, what if Agent Peggy Carter hadn't left the room when she was supposed to?
I like that. And I kind of forgot she left the room in Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember watching it thinking like, well, no one tells Agent Carter what to do. And I was like, oh, wait, she did leave the room in the movie. I forgot.
I think there were lots of things about this premiere episode of What If that I loved.
I have a Tyrion at my feet.
Oh, hi Tyrion. From like huge buff Peggy Carter.
Yeah, that's a look that we're not going to go down to anymore. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. That make things really awkward for this show because we don't have Denise to be like, okay, you two. It's a good look. That's what I'm going to say.
It is a good look.
It's a good look.
But like that, the kind of upgraded inclusion of Howard Stark, the continuation of like how those subtle things occurred that changed where the power dynamic was, like getting the cosmic cube before Hydra has a chance to manufacture weapons out of it. It's like, right. Oh, okay, that's a change.
The slight Hellboy vibe to it towards the end there.
Oh yeah, they turned right into the end of Hellboy. That's
absolutely.
All that was.
I was like, I just waiting for the right hand of doom to do its thing, but it was cool. The Iron Stomper.
Mm-hmm. Hydra Stomper.
Hydra Stomper. I'm really glad they did not kill Steve Rogers in the beginning. I like that he still had a role to play.
And I also appreciated that the change in physical form had nothing to do with Steve and Peggy's feelings for each other.
None.
And that, like, you miss that in Captain America, because it's easy to go, oh, well, you know, it's like, sure, everybody loves him now. He looks like that. It's like, Peggy felt strongly about him before the change.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like having the roles switched kind of reinforced that. It's like, it has nothing to do with what those two people looked like. It had everything to do with how they felt about each other.
Yeah. There's a slight moment where Rogers looks a little self-conscious, but it goes away almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had wished they'd have called her Captain Britain. I know for reasons why they probably didn't, but I was like, oh, because she's wearing the Union Jack. I'm like, she's Captain Britain.
Mm-hmm. But she also didn't feel the need to wear a mask.
That's true. She didn't.
She was very much, no, this is who I am.
Yeah, and I think that was done intentionally by the writers of this episode. There was a not so subtle message in that entire episode where she's completely told, even after she has the fucking serum in her, great, we wasted this on a woman.
Mm-hmm.
We're screwed. All this money, all this time, wasted on a dame.
Mm-hmm.
So I think her choosing to not wear a mask and know that every time that Nazi was getting punched in the ground, it was being done by a woman who was punching him into the ground. It was going to be a woman who was saving the day, not someone in a mask. And I mean, everyone knew he was Steve Rogers, but there's a subtle difference of her never putting a mask on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very intentional. And I think it's pretty cool.
That carries right into the identity, like with Black Widow. Like, she doesn't wear a mask.
That's true.
She's a master spy and she doesn't wear a mask.
Well, so is James Bond, but he says his fucking name every chance he gets.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, which is always weird, but okay.
You're supposed to be incognito. Here's your cover. Thank you. I'm James Bond. We made a cover. But yeah. Shades of Night Witches. Oh yeah. That's definitely true.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah.
That was definitely cool, yeah.
But I did like the Howard building the Hydra Stomper, clearly being it's like, oh, okay, now we know what Howard Stark's Iron Man would have looked like.
Right, yeah. I got a slight, and I loved it. If you're a DC fan, you'll get this. I got a slight Stars and Stripes vibe that just made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
With Agent Carter riding on the back of Hydra Stomper, I'm like, oh, yeah, give me my pulp goodness like that. Give it to me. I love it.
That was great.
Yeah, that was good.
Very great.
I'm happy with that. All the voice work was really good. I know they didn't get back Chris Evans for Cap, for Rogers, but they got a really good copy. Same with Red Skull.
And that Red Skull was the same guy who played Red Skull in Endgame and Infinity War.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I thought they had gotten what's his name back to do it. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Oh yeah. What is his name?
I don't remember.
Elrond.
Hugo
Weaving. Yeah. Hugo Weaving didn't come back for Endgame and Infinity War. That was an actor who used to do a Red Skull / Hugo Weaving impersonation while he was on set at The Walking Dead, because he's from The Walking Dead.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and it was one of those, like, the way that story goes is someone in the crew or cast also worked with people at Marvel and went, hey, you should talk to so-and-so if you need a Red Skull.
Right.
And like sent a video, or like they talked to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, that's a dead-on Hugo Weaving Red Skull. Yep, you're hired. That's
cool. That's really cool.
I thought it was Hugo Weaving for the show too, because I'm like, how'd they get him? Oh nope, it's that guy. I'll bet it's that guy. And I looked it up. But yeah, everyone else is exactly who they already were. Like it was
Right.
Sebastian Stan, it was Jeremy Renner, Sam Jackson. I think I know that I don't think we get RDJ for the episode that has Tony in it.
No, they can't afford that, even voiceover.
But I do know that this will have Chadwick Boseman's last turn as T'Challa.
I do know that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to be a hard episode to watch.
Yeah. I wonder if Seth Green's going to be Howard the Duck, because he's Howard the Duck in the Guardians
he
end
is.
scene.
I hope so. That would be
I
fun.
hope so too. I can't see a reason why he wouldn't be, other than they just forget to ask him.
Right. There's that.
Also, I really, really like the animation style for What If. It's sharp and crisp. I very much enjoy it. It kind of gives Into the Spider-Verse vibes.
We were picking up, like, Merrick thought it might have been, did you ever see Iron Man Armored Adventures?
It did not.
It has similar kind of cel-shaded clearly computer animated animation.
Gave me a little bit of Tron Uprising vibes too.
Yeah.
Especially how action was handled.
But then, like, I double checked, it's not the same animation house. So the animation house is just listed as Marvel.
Right.
So what I found fascinating was how many expressions were very, very decidedly Disney.
Yeah.
There were some reaction moments on Peggy's face. I'm like, I've seen that on Disney princesses.
Yeah.
This is weird.
Yeah, but it didn't bother me so much.
No.
But you're right.
I thought it was great. But it's like, oh, yep, no, this is, well, it's Marvel.
Disney loves that one eye get big and the half cock smile as the surprise of like,
mm-hmm.
You know, yeah.
There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that, yeah. But yeah, I thought it was a really strong debut. I think that was the smart episode to debut with.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see more of Agent Carter, Captain Carter. I mean, there's gonna be some spoilers here. I fully do not think that Steve Rogers is completely dead. You know, Hydra Stomper's out there somewhere. Who knows what?
Sure.
You know.
I mean, in the original timeline, Peggy Carter was still alive when Steve came back. And like the moment that Peggy steps out of the Tesseract portal is clearly the beginning of the Avengers movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's the same tunnel and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love the little joke on the train when Hydra Stomper saves Bucky, and Bucky's like, "Steve, you almost tore my arm out." Walk, walk, walk.
Oh, that was good. Yeah. It was also nice to have still have Bucky as part of that.
Yeah,
and this all of the Howling Commandos.
All of the Howling Commandos. Yeah,
they were like, "What are you doing here?" And she just kind of rips the door off, and they're like, "I'm following her."
Yeah, I love Hogan. Like, why did they send you? Bong, bong, bong. Oh,
okay.
I've always liked Hogan. He's got that good look, and I'm like, yeah,
Dugan.
I don't know. Hogan's the DC.
Happy,
one.
Yeah.
Happy, yeah. Yeah, Dugan is like Captain America's Volstagg.
He really is.
Yeah, no, he really is. Yeah, red hair over the top.
I still feel that Dum Dum Dugan was criminally underused in the MCU. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen more. I wish he had been part of Agent Carter, the TV series.
That would have been cool for sure. But yeah, What If's a great start, and it's what, every Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
And then Lower Decks is every Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So now we're Wednesday and Thursday on our viewing instead of
Fridays.
Just Fridays.
Right. That's cool. So yeah, about that Lower Decks premiere. Oh man. I love it when Lower Decks takes everything fucking ridiculous about the original series and then turns it up to 11.
Just cranks that right up.
I didn't know they were going to the full God thing. Just the idea of that guy saying, "I'm detecting strange energies." I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot strange energies.
Strange energies. Boom, 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 boom.
My favorite part though is easily the doctor. She's like, "This is how you get Gary Mitchell. He's gonna go Gary Mitchell all over us." Well, how did they stop him? Kirk dropped a rock on him.
Dropped a boulder on him. Just left him there.
I'm gonna shoot him more. It's like, I'm gonna get a rock.
Yeah, I love that was the how was I putting this? That I was talking to somebody about the fact that that was the most sitcom of sitcom premises. It's like you have two characters who don't want to work together but don't want to tell each other. Chaos ensues. It's like, well, yeah, that's sitcom 101. But as soon as you also add, and now we're going to add a layer of Star Trek trivia with another layer of Star Trek trivia.
Right.
And then a soupçon of Star Trek trivia.
Right. Yeah, no, this was, I mean, Lower Decks can play to someone who doesn't really know Star Trek, of course. Mm-hmm. This one rewarded Star Trek. Yeah, this still played for people who don't know Trek. This rewarded Trek fans. They're like, we're going to give you so many inside jokes on this thing. So many inside jokes. And look, anytime they reference Gary Mitchell, I laugh because I just,
Oh, yeah.
Part of it is I fully blame actually in the Weird Things Mystery Science Theater, whenever I heard the name Mitchell. So now when you add in Gary Mitchell, I go, Gary Mitchell. I am still salty that Star Trek Into Darkness, the villain was not Gary Mitchell and or Garth of Izar. It is still bullshit. It was Khan. That's all I'll say. Should have been fucking Gary Mitchell. Anyway.
I would have accepted an augment if it had been Joaquin.
Joaquin. Joaquin.
Oh, Joaquin.
Well, Joaquin is potentially Khan's son. Joaquin is from Space Seed.
Yes.
You're right. Yeah, that also would have been fun. Although seeing Benedict Cumberbatch play someone named Joaquin would also be awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't just call him Bob, I suppose.
No, it's hard to think of a super. No.
I'm Bob, the augment.
My name is Bob.
Well, that narrows it down.
Right.
It's not like there's ever been a Bob before.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. What's your last name? Roberts. Damn it.
Why you're so angry?
Deep cuts. Deep cuts.
Just like this episode of Lower Decks, bringing it back.
Oh, man. So we were looking up a bunch of the jokes afterwards, and the poem that the other crewman sat down to read to Ransom when he was in sick bay is a poem from Where No Man Has Gone Before that Gary Mitchell reads.
Right.
And that was credited to an author in the 1960s when actually the author was Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah. I love the cold opening.
Oh, man. So I love that.
They keep asking me how many lights there are.
I love that Mariner's preferred form of both exercise and therapy is holodeck.
Yeah. And not just holodeck, a Cardassian a prison interrogation center.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Miranda class ship they escaped in, I couldn't tell. Was it the USS Macbeth or the USS Macduff?
I don't remember.
I want to say it's the Macduff, which is kind of hilarious if Mariner decides to call the ship the Macduff to work out her issues with her mom.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
That's a really smart writer's room.
Yep. Yeah. It really is. Have you seen like all the press that they've been doing for the show?
Huge.
Like, I think that's the most amount of press that I have seen for this Trek show specifically. In quite a while. And I think it probably also had to do with it led up to Star Trek Las Vegas.
Yeah. And they seem to also have a lot of fun with this press, like
Mm-hmm.
all the voice. And I think part of it is also is when you're a voice actor, you don't really get to cut loose on red carpets a whole lot. I mean,
This is
apart from
true.
a couple of them, a lot of them have done some screen stuff. Like Tawny Newsome, she's the female lead in Space Force.
Mm-hmm. I've heard.
You know, yeah. What's his name? Rebecca Romaine's husband.
Yep, Jerry O'Connell.
Jerry O'Connell. Yeah. You know, he does some screen stuff for sure.
Sure.
But the rest are like, you know, comics and whatnot. They're voice actors, so they get to kind of cut loose on the red carpet, which is pretty great.
I think it's great too that I can easily see any one of them playing a live action version of their character on Picard.
That would be fun. I could see that.
I feel like I'm like reaching really far to hope that we would ever get Beckett Mariner on Picard.
Yeah. Although I would love to see just a photo shoot with them playing the live versions of themselves. Like a whatever, like a fucking, not that Vanity Fair is ever going to do a Star Trek based photo shoot, but I would totally buy like a, you know, one of those Vanity Fair fold out covers that's the cast of Lower Decks dressed as themselves. You know.
I would bet real money that if Halloween parties were a thing, they would, like, someone in props and makeup would band together with them and put together everything they need to actually be like, you know, they get someone to paint up the actress that plays Tendi. She'd be all green. Make a little cybernetic piece for Eugene Cordero.
Okie dokie. Yeah, and let's talk about their little B story, which was like super emotional, but also then very awkward because it's the two kind of extra socially awkward characters that rely on science and tech, not yet acknowledging that they have a thing for each other because they don't know how to word feelings.
And Rutherford no longer remembers.
Right. He remembers they're still friends.
No, he didn't.
By this episode, he does.
He doesn't remember that they're friends. She made new friends with him again.
Right. So that's what I mean. He feels they're friends. Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah.
But yeah, like.
But she's flat out, no, I have a thing for this guy and I don't like him seeing other people. You know.
Yeah, Tendi has some issues that she's gonna have to work out too.
Yes. That part where she's chasing him down the hallway. I just want to go swimming with girls. Melt.
I mean, who doesn't?
Right. Well, then it's so sweet at the very end. They make up, and then when that final hug, she whispers, "Also, I don't want you seeing that."
Yeah, they're very cute.
I did love how they resolved it while there's destruction happening outside the Cerritos.
Oh, right. But like,
so well done.
Not paying any attention to the giant ransom head.
Yeah.
I also loved Beckett's essentially her solution to the Kobayashi Maru.
Kick him in the nards.
Kick him in the balls. Like over and over and over. I'm like, this is so base humor, but I cannot stop laughing.
I can't stop laughing.
So
every time his eyes go rain up. Oh, thank you. But the whole like, you mean I just have to compliment? Oh yeah, say it. I am hot.
That was pretty great.
What does he say that one time when he's like lifting? So yoked. When she says, "And you're in great shape." Oh yeah, so yoked.
So yoked.
So yoked.
God, Jerry O'Connell would love to play Ransom in live action.
Oh yeah, I want him to cosplay as Ransom and Rebecca Romaine to cosplay as number one together to see just how annoyed he would make number one. Number one would loathe Ransom.
Oh yeah,
in every measurable way.
She would also verbally eviscerate him.
Yeah, and then eventually he'd be like, "All right, you might be smart, but can you fight?"
I got these pecs.
She can. So I love the idea of like her just cleaning his clock, and then he be like, when she's not around, as she leaves the room or whatever, be like, "So hot." This uniform's so tight right now. You know.
Well, he has a little bit of that for Mariner, because she can beat him in a fight.
Yeah.
Like the only time that he's beat her is by stabbing her in the foot.
Yeah. Well, in that time when he rips his shirt off to go on that fight, and she's watching him, and she's like, "It's really disturbing how much I hate him, and I'm so turned on." You know. You know. Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is an issue.
I love that we're clearly going to get an arc where Becker Mariner's mom, as much as she brags about the Cerritos, really wants a better ship. She wants to be on a good, shiny, give her one of them Luna class ships like Riker.
She wants to be on a first contact level ship.
I could see a joke with them dangling a Sovereign class in front of her and then be like, I thought you hated the Sovereign look. She's like, I didn't say I hated it. I just said I didn't want the Cerritos to be it. It's a good ship. And then finally, look, I know the show's not about him, but getting more Riker makes me happy. I love how Jonathan Frakes has just turned so hard into this over-the-top party boy Riker, who still takes his job seriously, but I think this has too many licks and not enough.
God. He's really good. Like,
he's really good.
And I like that he's gotten to play Riker across all kinds of different generations.
He's played Riker in everything, but does he show up in Voyager at any time?
Yes, he does.
Where does he show up in Voyager?
Q brings him on board, and he identifies from a photograph his great, his great grandfather.
Yeah, I mean, I know technically he's also in fucking Enterprise.
That's a TNG episode. That's a lost TNG
That's
episode.
True. Although I do like him as chef. You know, because cooking's like jazz, baby. It's all what you can't see, feel it. I love that his entire crew is a badass, you know, except for Boimler. Yeah. That one person like, prepare for absorption into the blue thing. And he's like, I love my job.
Yeah, Boimler is not fit for the Titan.
No, he should not be on the Titan at all. Not one bit.
Nope. He doesn't even make lower decks on the Titan. It's like, it's fascinating that he's there. That's definitely a be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, totally.
So I'll be interested to see how he ends up back on the Cerritos.
So yeah, I mean, such a different vibe than What If, but lower decks. The other good thing about season 2 is there's not going to be any growing pains. Like, they found their footing. They know where their jokes land. So now they're just full impulse the whole way, you know. And I think it's going to show.
Which is good, because I think between this and Prodigy, this is the only new Trek we're getting this year. I don't think we're getting any other new Trek. Like, I feel like Picard's next year, and Discovery is next year.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, we might get Strange New Worlds by the end of the year, because production wrapped on that a few months ago.
Honestly am feeling very. I'll believe it when I see it with Strange New Worlds. Like, I know that they're working on it, but I've seen bupkis about it.
I mean, it's done. They finished filming it. Trying to see. Oh, it's also estimated early 2022. So 2022 is going to be a huge Trek year.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, because they wrapped. Well, they just had a few reshoots on Discovery. They actually announced that at at Vegas.
Okay.
The woman who plays the president of the new Romulan Vulcan homeworld when they renamed Vulcan.
Oh, right. What is it? Navarre?
Navarre. They had a few reshoots with her. But you don't read, like, everything has reshoot. It's not like that means they had to do a big story thing. Sometimes it's like, we don't like we don't like the angle. Come back. We need to do it's. Well, I always get mad when people are like, "Oh my god, this movie had like a week's worth of reshoots. It's in trouble." I'm like, you have no idea how movies work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes it can literally be, this is not the angle we need. If we can afford it, let's do a fucking reshoot of that one scene.
Yep.
I was getting annoyed when someone talks about like it needed reshoots. I'm like, almost every major film and show needs reshoots.
Apparently, we are getting Discovery this year.
I think it was Discovery. I knew it was one of them.
Huh.
Because season 4 for them wrapped before Picard or Strange New Worlds. In fact, I bet you Picard will be the last thing we get, because Picard season 2 had the longest wait time because of COVID, because their lead is 85 years old.
Yeah, and it wasn't just that he was 85 years old, and it had to do with insurance.
That's what I mean. The studios were like, we can't insure him unless we know it's 100% always COVID-free set. So I think it had to be like, until you're all vaccinated, we don't start Picard, kind of thing. We can't even do it to masking and testing. It's like, no. Which
just no.
Which makes sense, because your lead is 85 years old, or however old, 82 maybe, but he's up there.
2022.
He's in better shape than most of us, but
it was all that weightlifting.
Yeah, and all that weed.
Yes.
No, not allegedly. Homeboy. I kind of like also the idea that like Frakes is the one who put him onto it.
But of course.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get Discovery. So I'm really curious about season 4 of Discovery, like where it's gonna go.
I am too. They're finally in the speaking of season 4 of Discovery, that was also a rumor that Discovery makes me think of it. So one of the rumors that floated out of or Star Trek Las Vegas is that writers are thinking about bringing back Benjamin Sisko.
Really?
Yep.
In Discovery?
I don't know where there's been no discussion as to where, but
I don't know, because Avery Brooks is not in a good way.
No. And he does not feel about Star Trek the way that other people who've worked in Star Trek feel about
He's
Star
proud
Trek.
of his work, but it was a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That said, if they bring Sisko back, they can't do it on Picard, because Picard is the central figure of that show, and you can bring back.
You can't have two captains.
Yeah, you can bring back everybody else. You can't bring back. You can't bring in Janeway. Well, you can, because Janeway's an admiral.
I think she's retired by Picard.
Probably.
Yeah, I can't imagine she's still in Starfleet by Picard. It might, or she's teaching. But I can't imagine her being active Starfleet kind of thing.
But everyone else from all the other series, you can bring them in at any time so that we can get a check-in. You can't have the return of the Sisko on Picard, but you could do it in the 30th century,
where that's when the prophets let him out. But who do you cast?
If it's not Avery Brooks, I don't know.
Or do you pull the ultimate kind of weird shit prophets would do, and you ask Cyril Lofton if he wants to come back, but he's going to play Benjamin Sisko?
That would be.
And they acknowledge it, of like, he looks like Jake Sisko, and the prophets were like, we felt this would be easier to accept. And then have him explain, like, no, prophets, that's not how fucking it works. It's still been 1,000 years. I mean, you wouldn't say no, prophets, it's not how fucking, you know what I mean?
I mean, you do it.
You could. I mean, but also, I don't think He's a little bit older looking than that now, I think. But yeah.
Yeah.
He's also not acting anymore. So he may not want to do it. And also he saw Avery Brooks as a father figure. That might be something he's like, I'm not doing that. If you have to recast him, I understand that, but I'm not doing it. And actually feels like something he would actually say, having my limited interaction with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think would be his attitude.
I think the only way to do it is you bring back Avery Brooks, or you don't bother doing it.
Yeah.
And Benjamin Sisko just becomes the unanswered question in Star Trek.
Yeah, I know in the books they brought him back, but it was not good.
But I would think, though, if you were going to bring him back, that bringing him back so far removed from the rest of the people that would have known him in life would be the only way to let the character evolve.
Right.
Because otherwise, if you're bringing him back just to have reunions with everybody else, and that makes us feel good, but that's not necessarily...
Or you bring him back symbolically and through imagery. Discovery Season 4 could actually go to Bajor or even Cardassia Prime, and they can finally acknowledge that at one time they were one race. And when Starfleet became splintered, the Federation was no more. That was when the prophets deemed that the emissary needed to come back. Because there was no longer this, it was like, this is now that there's no more of this bullshit galactic politics because everyone's literally cut off, now the children of the prophets may be reunited. And you get back to this kind of like hybrid Bajoran Cardassian race kind of thing. And you don't make a big deal of it. You just acknowledge it like, no, this happened 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
We're well aware of our past. That is why we have statues to the Sisko. It took an outsider to bring us back together by the will of the prophets. I could see that working. There's something there for that.
Yep. That would be interesting to see. I would like them to check in on the Cardassians and the Bajorans, because when we left both of those, Bajorans were on their way up and the Cardassians had a devastated homeworld.
Yeah, Cardassia Prime was devastated, and it was not even implied. The Klingons were not going to release conquered territories.
Nope.
There's that great scene at the end, the last DS9 episode, when they're on Cardassia Prime, and Martok like dips the blood wine and says, "We drink to victory and conquest," and he takes a chug down, and Sisko and Admiral what's his name are like, this is nothing to celebrate. This planet has lost millions and millions of people, and all of their cities are on fire.
Yep.
And he's like, and Martok's like, whatever. You don't get the ways then. I'm like, oh. Cardassia Prime's going to have a bad way for a while. Or Cardassia.
But they, that is... I'm going to have to rewatch all of Deep Space Nine.
It's so good, man. It's so good.
I feel like it definitely ties into so many things that are going on right now.
Right?
Yeah. But especially where it's like, yes, the Cardassian government made choices that put them in the leaders of Cardassia got everything they had coming to them by choosing to side with Dominion.
Right.
The Cardassian people, on the other hand, are completely different.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Good stuff coming for Trek.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely Lower Decks is right there with it. So I'm super excited.
I don't. It's a pain to have to wait a year for a new season of it, when it's only 10 episodes, but at the same time, man, it's so good. And those 10 episodes are so good.
Yeah, I'd always rather a solid 10 than a solid 10, a mediocre 10, and an awful 10.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
yeah, that season finale for season 1 is still some of the best Trek.
So good. Yeah, it's very fun.
I have a deep cut question for you.
Oh man, pressure. All right.
So, or anyone else in the chat who will know the answer to this. In the last shot on the Cerritos, Tendi and Rutherford are in the brig talking to Mariner, who's in a cell in the brig.
Right.
On the wall of the brig is a tiny bit of graffiti of a small castle. Why?
I have to look at the shot again.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the shot again to make sure. I don't know.
And it's a simple little castle with 2 turrets and a little drawbridge gate. But I'm like, one, who drew that in a cell on the Cerritos? And 2, why is it there?
Right.
Who would have done that, and why was it left there? It's like, it's clearly intentional, because otherwise why would you have animated it?
All right, hold on. I'm looking at it now because I'm a big dork.
Mm-hmm.
It's
also
hard.
Hmm?
So it says something HQ and it has 2 checks on it, but I can't read what it says before HQ. I don't know.
All right. Well, folks on the internet, if you know what it is, let us know. I would like to know.
Oh, I think it says Mariners HQ. She spent 2 days in the brig.
Oh, so she's just drawn it on there. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's less a call out to something and more of she's just doodling on the walls.
Right.
Okay.